El Chupacabras visitó el poblado de Amacueca, Jalisco.
Todo lo que ha surgido alrededor del chupacabra es
denominado Chupacabras.
In the mid-1990s, farmers in Puerto Rico woke up to something horrifying. Their livestock were turning up dead. Goats, chickens, and sheep were found with strange puncture wounds, and some appeared to be completely drained of blood. The locals quickly gave the creature a name, Chupacabra. It literally means goat sucker. Witnesses described a small creature standing upright on two legs. It had gray skin, glowing eyes, and sharp spikes running down its back. Some said it looked almost alien. Fear spread fast.
That's for sure. Very interesting.
People claimed the creature moved silently through farms at night, attacking animals and disappearing before anyone could catch it. But then something strange happened. As the years passed, sightings began to change. Instead of a spiky alien creature, witnesses started reporting something very different. A sickly four-legged animal with patchy skin and almost no fur.
Residents are certain they found the mythical, despicable Chupacabra. And this time, it's alive.
He called me to come and look, and I said, Bubba, that looks like a baby Chupacabra.
Scientists eventually stepped in to investigate. The explanation was surprisingly simple. Many of the chupacabras that people captured or photographed turned out to be coyotes suffering from severe mange, a disease that causes animals to lose their fur and develop thick, twisted skin. Without fur, these animals looked terrifying and unnatural. In the dark, they looked like monsters. So the blood-sucking legend may have started with panic, imagination, and a few very sick wild animals. But not every creature on this list has such a neat explanation, because high in the mountains of Asia, something far larger has been reported. For generations, people living in the Himalayas have whispered about a massive creature roaming the snowy mountains. They call it the Yeti. Western explorers later gave it a more dramatic nickname, the Abominable Snowman. Stories describe a towering ape-like creature covered in thick fur, leaving enormous footprints across the snow. In the 1950s, mountaineers began discovering giant tracks in remote regions. Photographs of these prints spread across newspapers around the world. Suddenly, the mystery exploded. Could an unknown species of giant ape really be living in the Himalayas? Decades later, scientists decided to test the evidence using modern technology. Researchers collected hair, bone fragments, and tissue samples that were supposedly linked to the Yeti. Then they analyzed the DNA. The results were surprising but not mysterious. Almost every sample belonged to known animals, mostly Himalayan brown bears or black bears. One sample even turned out to be from a dog. In other words, the terrifying footprints that sparked the legend may have been left by large bears walking through melting snow. When snow melts and shifts, footprints stretch and distort. A normal bear track can suddenly look enormous. Still, the legend refuses to die. And that brings us to a creature hiding in one of the most famous lakes on Earth. In Scotland, there's a long, deep lake called Loch Ness. It looks peaceful, but in 1933, drivers passing by the lake reported something extraordinary. They claimed to see a massive creature moving through the water.
I saw it in August 1937.
What was it like?
Like an elephant's back or an upturned boat.
I saw this hump.
We saw it, the head and the four humps. It was the very same color as an elephant.
Some described it as a long-necked prehistoric animal, almost like a dinosaur. The newspapers went wild. Soon, people from all over the world were watching the lake, hoping to see the creature locals now called Nessie. Then came the photo that changed everything. In 1934, a British doctor released an image showing what appeared to be a long neck rising out of the water. The picture became famous overnight. For decades, it was considered the best proof that the Loch Ness Monster might actually exist. But years later, the truth was finally revealed. The photo was a hoax. The monster was actually a toy submarine with a fake head attached to it. Still, the mystery didn't end there. In 2018, scientists conducted one of the largest investigations ever done on the lake. They collected DNA samples from the water to identify every species living inside it. If a giant prehistoric creature existed in Loch Ness, its DNA should have been present. But the results showed nothing unusual, mostly fish, bacteria, and large populations of eels.
Every single sampling site that we went to pretty much had eels, and the sheer volume of it was a bit of a surprise.
Some researchers now believe that oversized eels might explain many Nessie sightings. But for believers, the case isn't closed, because sometimes legends aren't just about creatures in water. Sometimes they fly. In 1966, residents of a small town in West Virginia began reporting something terrifying. Two young couples were driving near an abandoned power plant when they saw a figure standing in the road. It was nearly 7 feet tall. Its eyes glowed bright red in the headlights, and when it moved, it spread enormous wings. The creature lifted into the air and chased their car as they sped away. The witnesses were terrified. Soon, more people in the town began reporting similar encounters. They described a huge winged humanoid creature flying through the night sky. The newspapers gave it a name, the Mothman. For over a year, sightings continued across the area. Then tragedy struck. In December 1967, a major bridge in the town suddenly collapsed during rush hour traffic. 46 people lost their lives. After that disaster, rumors spread that the Mothman had appeared shortly before the collapse, almost like a warning. Some locals believed the creature was an omen of disaster. Others thought it was just mass hysteria. Skeptics suggest that witnesses may have seen large birds like sandhill cranes or owls. But the original encounters remain one of the strangest cryptid stories ever recorded, and yet, the most famous mystery creature in North America might be even harder to explain. Deep in the forests of North America, thousands of people claim they've seen something impossible.
What was that?
A massive hairy creature walking upright like a human. They call it Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Stories of giant wild men existed in Native American legends long before modern times. But the mystery exploded in 1958 when workers in California discovered enormous footprints in the mud. The tracks were huge, far larger than any human foot. News of the discovery spread across the country. Soon, hunters, hikers, and campers began reporting sightings of a towering ape-like creature wandering through remote forests. Then in 1967, a man named Roger Patterson filmed something that made the mystery even bigger. His footage appeared to show a large hairy creature walking across a riverbed before turning and looking directly at the camera. Even today, the Patterson-Gimlin film remains one of the most debated videos in cryptid history. Some researchers insist it shows a real, unknown primate. Others believe it was simply a man wearing a costume. Interestingly, the original giant footprints that sparked the Bigfoot craze were later revealed to be a prank created by a local logger. Yet sightings have never stopped. Thousands of people still report seeing something massive moving through North American forests. No body has ever been found. No confirmed DNA has ever been recovered. And that's exactly why the legend refuses to die. If you think these stories only exist in remote wilderness, think again.